I've said it before. I'll say it again. The NBA is literally the gift that keeps on giving. I am a fan of a lot of different sports. I love college basketball. I love college football. I love the NFL. I love the MLB. But I am not sure if there is a league that has as much crazy storylines and drama as the NBA. The trade deadline ended, and I thought that was it. I was like, whew, got my money's worth. I did all of my videos. We had the Luka trade, the Fox trade, the Middleton trade. We had Cap trade. We had a bunch of stuff going on. The Mark Williams trade. Oh, man, yeah. Craziest deadline in NBA history. What a time. Mentally, I moved on to All-Star Weekend. No. Boy, was I wrong. We just got a report, like literally just now, that Mark Williams, or excuse me, the Mark Williams trade has been rescinded. The Lakers have vetoed the trade. They're sending Mark Williams back to Charlotte, and they're getting back Dalton Connect, Cam Reddish, a 2030 swap, and a 2031st unprotected first round pick. Literally crazy. I've seen people on Twitter, when's the last time this happened? When is it? I don't know. I cannot recall a trade. How I don't even know how many days it's been. We're almost like 2.5, 3 days past the trade deadline, and a trade gets rescinded. I don't know. Trades have been rescinded. A player doesn't pass a physical. We've seen things like that, but like the trade deadline being over and a team can't pivot, because let's break it down. It is extremely awkward to trade a player, right? You trade a player. Three people, like legitimately human being, like the picks are one thing. The picks have no emotion. The picks don't have a personality. The picks can't, they can't take anything personally. But you literally knocked guys' locker rooms out, cleaned out their locker rooms, took the nameplates off of it. You literally packed their bags, shipped them off. New jerseys probably have been printed and waited until the physicals cleared. And now you got to bring those guys back into the locker room. And not only do you have to bring them back, you can't do any more trades. In a normal world, or if this happened 2 weeks ago or a week ago, what probably would happen, honestly speaking, this trade would have fell through. They would have rescinded it. They would have vetoed it. But those three players probably wouldn't went back to their team. They probably would have tried to figure out some other quick trade to not have to bring these guys back. And if all failed, if like somebody's physical is that bad that they're not going to pass any physical to be traded to any team, then you just probably bite the bullet and say, hey, Mark Williams, you just probably going to stay a Hornet. But Cam Reddish and Dalton Connect, in my guess, in my mind, I think the Lakers or whoever would have probably been like, before we bring them back, we're going to try to figure out if there's another trade so we don't have to deal with this awkwardness. That's just what I believe. It's very tough to trade a player, and say, hey, don't take it personal. It's just a business. The Luka Doncic trade is one thing, right? Like Max Christie, we love you. We got an opportunity to get Luka. You got to go to Dallas. But like this Mark Williams trade, I think it's a way different situation and different scenario. As much as it is a business, people have feelings and it gets personal. And Mark Williams is on Twitter tweeting out the purple and gold. He's excited. You probably hear things about you from the fan base now. Oh man, yeah, we traded Dalton Connect. I hated his ass anyway. All type of things. And now you have to go back and be with the team. I don't know the details. Nobody knows the details as of right now. We just know that the trade is not going through. Bobby Marks is saying basically everything is going back. The trade was conditional on Mark Williams and Dalton Connect reporting and passing a physical. I don't know if that means Cam Reddish already did his physical, or if I don't know if the Hornets was like, hey, we don't care if Cam Reddish passes his physical or not. We're trying to get the deal. I don't know what that means because it does not say anything on Cam Reddish needing to pass his physical. But now, yeah, the Lakers have 15 players on the contract. They're $1.6 million below the second apron. They currently do not have like a starting caliber center. I guess Jackson Hayes would be there for the remainder of the season. And yeah, this really messes up the Lakers. This was an exciting trade for them. I like the trade on a lot of different levels. I actually like the trade for the Hornets as well. And yeah, there's so many different avenues to go. The first thing I would say is I was a big fan of the trade because I felt like you found Luka a center that matched what he wanted to do. And I think you also found a guy that was young. Mark Williams, 23 years old, fits the timeline with Luka. So Luka has a running mate for his tenure. I thought that Mark Williams was going to be a totally different player with the Lakers playing with LeBron, Doncic, and Austin Reeves. I just felt like they were going to put him in position offensively to be able to be spoon-fed and have easy looks. And I just felt like that was going to take his game up to a whole other level. And I felt like they were going to get him in the right time to where they would be able to extend him without using a lot of money. You know what I mean? Because he's still young. He has an injury history. And I believe the next season, we talked about it on Numbers on the Board, he may be eligible for the extension. And unless he went on a crazy, crazy playoff run, you're probably going to be able to extend him at a decent value, in a decent number, because all the other options you were linked to were kind of hefty. And the Lakers are going to have to be smart with their money as long as they have LeBron and Doncic on the roster, because the flexibility is going to be the main thing that you want to maintain. So I look at it from that standpoint. Definitely disappointed to go from having Mark Williams in depth and to now all of a sudden, no offense to Jackson Hayes, but I don't think anybody looks at Jackson Hayes as a legitimate starting center. And they definitely don't look at Jackson Hayes as a legitimate starting center for a team that's trying to go on a playoff run. And regardless of all of that, you're just more thinner in the front court in general. Losing a body, is a body that you lose in the front court. We haven't seen Christian Wood. You now don't have Mark Williams. It's really Christian Coloco from Arizona and Jackson Hayes. The buyout market, I don't know what's going to be available there for the Lakers that's legitimate. And obviously the trade deadline is passed. So, yeah, tough situation for the Lakers. I'm looking at it from another standpoint of Mark Williams. What does this mean for Mark Williams' career? When you have a physical that is so bad that a trade is being rescinded and a team is going to go through there's a lot of moving pieces to this trade. The trade is being rescinded. Your vitals and your physical is that bad? There's an article right here that I pulled up, Silver Screen and Roll, which is a Lakers kind of community on SB Nation. And the article was, how concerning is Mark Williams' injury history? One of the concerns about new Lakers center Mark Williams is his health. Let's take a deeper dive into Williams' checkered injury past. And they go over all of the injuries he's dealt with during the course of his career. During his rookie year, they have it all kind of panned out. Most of this coming in the G League. He suffered the following injuries: a left ankle sprain, missed 1 game. Left ankle sprain again, missed 11 games. Right thumb injury, missed 6 games. Left ankle sprain again, missed 1 game. Underwent thumb surgery in the offseason. That's his rookie year. The first ankle sprain was likely a grade 1 injury. The second one was likely a grade 2. Respraining an ankle isn't uncommon after initial one. I can speak to that as a guy who's dealt with ankle sprains, and I had a severe ankle sprain. I tore a tendon. It happens. He sprained it again later in the season in April, but only missed 1 game. Obviously, you don't want another sprain, but there is 2 pieces of good news here. He recovered very quickly, and it hasn't sprained again since. For his thumb, it was a contact injury that he was able to play through, but then required surgery to reconstruct the ligament during the offseason. Finger and thumb injuries are always a risk, especially for bigs who are often in traffic and involved in contact, whether with other players, the ball, or the rim. These are relatively common procedures, and outcomes are very good. Further, he hasn't had any issues with since. During his second season, he had the following issues: lower back contusion, missed 1 game. Back injury, ruled out for the season. This one is harder to discern. This was initially listed as a lower back contusion, meaning a deep bruise. However, we don't know whether the bruise is muscular or if it's deeper into the bone, a bone bruise, aka microtrabecular fracture. Sheesh, that sounds like it's painful. Based on the time he missed, my guess would be the latter, as these can linger and be harder to resolve, particularly if they are in certain areas of the bone. For example, Kendrick Nunn had a knee bone bruise that kept him out majority of the year during his 1 season with the Lakers. There's also the possibility that this was a lower back fracture, which would have an extended timeline. In either case, I imagine the Hornets medical staff taking a very precautionary approach, considering Williams was a key young player with a high ceiling and the high demands on the lower back, whether that's jumping, running, rotating, or landing, and then doing all that through contact as well. Of course, low back injuries are concerning, but it hasn't popped up again this year, which is positive news. However, it is something to keep an eye on. His third season, the current 2024-25 campaign, has seen the following injuries: Left foot injury, missed 20 games. Rest, missed 1 game. Knee injury, no details given, no games missed. Left foot tendon management, missed 3 games. The team did not specify the initial foot injury, and there have been differing reports on it. Some say a strained left foot tendon, and others, like Dave McMenamin, say Williams had a small foot fracture that didn't require surgery. There could be some cross signals here, which can happen when it comes to injury reporting, or it could have been a combination injury, which isn't uncommon with the highly complex foot and ankle. So, short career, a lot of different injuries I just named. As far as this season, a lot of these injuries are very vague. They're even saying that they couldn't find a community who was putting together an entire article, which means they probably did research on research on research and still was not able to find out specifics. Like they had a whole knee injury where he didn't miss any games, but it was reported and there was really no details given. Left foot tendon management, missed 3 games, and they did not specify the initial foot injury. So you read all of this information, and you just wonder, what exactly was it? Back injuries are something that we've heard from bigs time and time again. Foot injuries are never good for big men. So I don't know what it could have been, but when you see a checkered past like this, you have to think that Mark Williams, because I've seen people on Twitter, I don't even want to say you have to think, it's definitely Mark Williams who didn't pass the physical or whatever, because the Lakers are the one that vetoed it. So they're the one getting the guy back, and if they're vetoing it, it's something wrong with his physicals. And yeah, it's a very, very odd thing. Like I said again, I can't remember when something like this has happened off the top of my brain. At the trade deadline, after the trade deadline, and this could be like career altering. It's going to be very hard for Mark Williams to get somebody to invest big money into him when he can't pass a physical to get traded. He already has an injury history, and then on top of that, this is going to be something that's going to be attached to his name for probably the rest of his career now. And when you think about that aspect of it, it is kind of sad, because I felt like the trajectory that Mark Williams was going on after being acquired by the Lakers, I was like, this dude is about to go up. Now, I'm not here to say he was going to be an all-star center or anything like that, but I think he was going to be a household name. And again, like I said numerous times, if we looked at Mark Williams as like an 80, 81 overall player on the Hornets, you can +5 or +6 to his attributes once he's with the Lakers. He's just going to be in a much better environment, a lot more controlled environment, a winning environment, and he was going to play with an all-time great passer, and a guy who's in the next in line of an all-great passer and playmaker, and Luka Doncic. And I believe if Austin Reeves is your third best playmaker in your starting lineup, you got a pretty damn good group of playmaking guys. And I felt like that, again, we're all going to put him in position to be able to get easy baskets, be a lob threat, and really get it in. He put up some monstrous numbers not that long ago, and I believe a few of those games, or a lot of that run that he had for that week, his star point guard in Charlotte wasn't even playing. I believe LaMelo was hurt when he was dominating for that week or week and a half stretch. So you just imagine, when we've seen what LeBron has been able to do with certain bigs, what Luka has been able to do with random bigs, they get the most out of their bigs. And I think Mark Williams was next in line for that, which meant, a nice playoff run, a nice playoff series. That leads to a bag. Now, it's not that he still can't get a bag, but it won't be long term. You know what I mean? It's hard to see a team, unless after this he gets his physicals together and he never has any real injury problem, and he becomes one of those guys that's playing 70 games a year for the next 6 years, or if he can perform and prove that he isn't injury prone or he doesn't have any real issues, then, that's one thing. But I just feel like this is going to be such a cloud now, because, the NBA is a business, and, GMs and owners, and they're sharks. And I feel like anytime somebody talks to him about some contractual agreement with money on the line, their first move for leverage is going to say your injury history. You haven't had a year that you didn't have injuries, and you had physicals that came up so bad. A team like the Lakers, who were playing for something and trying to put something together, they rescinded the entire trade. And again, we'll at some point figure out what that was. I'm going to check my phone once again as I wrap up. Yeah. Just saying a failed physical. Just saying a failed physical right now. I would imagine Mark Williams physical with Lakers show multiple issues and team failed him on exam. Wow. So multiple issues. So we just ran across a bunch of the injuries he had over his career, but they're saying that it was a few things. Williams was listed as questionable for the Lakers in a win over the Pacers. When asked before the game if Williams would play, J.J. Redick said the trade is still pending, so no answer there. The deal was supposed to give LA a vertical space and big man to play alongside Luka Doncic while also opening up another roster spot for the buyout market. Very tough situation, man. Very, very tough situation. I feel bad for Mark Williams. I could only imagine what it's like. And again, no shot to the Charlotte Hornets. But I can only imagine what it's like to go from a situation like that where you've been on a losing team for all of your career. And then all of a sudden, you're headed to LA to go play with LeBron. And then you're also going to play with Luka, 2 Hall of Famers. And all of a sudden now, after all that excitement build up, you're thinking about so many scenarios. The Lakers had just had a really good game against the Warriors. They beat the Pacers today. They look like they're rolling. Luka hasn't even played yet. They look rejuvenated. You got everybody talking about, how far this team could go or the future of the team with Luka. And you probably feeling like, okay, this could be the next thing for me, right? Like this could be that step I've been waiting for to become a household name in the NBA. And now, I'm scared that and fearful that they're going to try to call Mark Williams damaged goods. Really good player, but can you whatever came up? And I'm looking at his injury history. It's probably the back, the foot, or the ankle, which I'm going to just combine together, or knee. It's got to be one of those 3, and all 3 of those are very pivotal for any player, especially big men. Big men who have a one back injury, it becomes reoccurring. A lot of people like to laugh and talk about Ben Simmons. He didn't shoot the threes or whatever. The real downfall to Ben Simmons, more than even passing up to dunk on Trae Young, was his back. You lose your back, and it's going to be so hard to be the same player and even enjoy playing basketball. The foot issues. We've seen countless big men. Yao Ming was not able to have the career lifespan that he wanted because of his foot. Even when Kevin Durant had the foot issue back when he was at OKC, they were very, very, very cautionary with that because KD's size and stature at 6'11", 7 foot, you got to be careful with that. So I'm hoping for the best for Mark Williams. You never want to see somebody so young in a new situation where the trajectory seems to be going up, be damaged like this. And it was fun to kind of envision what the Lakers are going to be. I had Laker fans telling me they were going to go on a championship run, and I was like, I think y'all going to be good. I think y'all going over the top with that championship talk. But it was good to have the Lakers back in that type of conversation, and you kind of got the rug pulled from up under. So I gave y'all a good 18, 20 minutes on this trade being rescinded. This is all the information I have. Like I said, I'm sure as soon as this video is uploaded or later on by the end of the night after this Knicks-Celtics game or something, more information is going to come out. They're saying it was a few things. I thought it was maybe one thing. They're saying it's a couple of things. It's a few things. So that's even worse. If it's a back and a foot, if it's a back and an ankle, back and a knee, that's just not going to be a good look for Mark Williams. But more details will come as the day goes on. I appreciate y'all. I am Pee Wee the Plug. This is Pee Wee the Plug. Make sure you stay locked in for all NBA news. I'll see y'all soon. I'm out. Peace.